thing that we are going to do is just take a flat brush, and I'm using my widest flat brush, and you have to make sure it's super clean. So you're gonna wash your brush, and we are just going to wet our paper, the entire rectangle. And we're only gonna do one at a time. So just make sure it's nice and wet. It doesn't have to be sopping wet. In fact, I like to keep it pretty evenly coated. And we're just gonna let that sit there while we apply our paints to our tray. So we're gonna need our cerulean blue. And I am just gonna show you real quickly. I have my tray here. This side is pretty clean-ish. And this is where I'm gonna put the actual colors. And just for me, I like to kind of pull this thing out and put it at the top here, so you can see. And I'm just gonna put a little bit of blue here. And I don't think we are going to need any black and white for this, so I'm just going to do my cerulean blue and my orange. And we're gonna put it right here. Now the reason why I'm using these two colors is because orange and blue are opposite on the color wheel. And you can use opposites on the color wheel to create a really nice neutral color. And in this very instance, as you can see, when you mix them together, you can get nice shades of brown. And so we are going to use that to our advantage. Okay, so we have our blue, we have our orange, and we have our number 8 flat brush. And what we're gonna do is just take our paint and just get it on the tip of your paintbrush a little bit. But then I'm gonna go over here and just kind of wipe it a little bit so it's nice and even on the paintbrush. We don't wanna just put a whole blob of paint here. And I'm just gonna pull it straight across the top. And I'm gonna do the same thing at the bottom. Now, since we have not gessoed this paper, what you're gonna start to notice is that the paint is going to bleed. And bleeding is a good thing for what we want right now, because we do want our sky to appear to be getting lighter in color as it's going towards the horizon line. Where the horizon line is placed at the moment is not important for this first one. We will talk about placement of horizon lines in the next one. So I'm gonna wash my brush and try to get the remaining water off the brush by kind of pulling it to the side. And we are just going to take that paintbrush and kind of bring it down. And we're gonna do the same thing from the bottom. We're gonna go across and work it towards the center line. And if you have a little bit of white in the middle, that is okay. We're just gonna leave it like that. Now this is gonna have to dry for a little bit. The first 4 paintings, we're going to need this type of sky. So while we're waiting for the first one to dry, why don't we do the rest of the 4 doing the exact same thing that we just did? And you'll start to notice that you're gonna get more comfortable doing this as we work through each one. And you want to kind of get to it before it dries too much, because as you'll notice, when it does dry, it is harder to reactivate, and that is because we are using the Holbein paints. Make sure that when you are putting the paint on your paintbrush, you kind of flip it over on both sides so it's evenly coated onto your paintbrush. And let's just start by doing the top blue part first, like this. And then we're just gonna go to the next line down. It'll be a little bit more blue, but that is okay. If you wanna go across and do the same thing, you can. We'll have a slightly bluer sky for this last one. Okay, so while we're here, I wanted to show you a little bit of a trick. Now, since this is so blue, you can take your paintbrush, your clean paintbrush, after you have washed it, and pat it dry on that shop wipe that you have on the side here. So I'm kind of patting it dry. And when your paintbrush is dry, you can go over your paint while it is still wet and pull up some of that color. And this is a really great tip and trick to help you blend things, when you want smooth edges as well. And if not, just leave them as is, because this first one is mainly laying out the basics of our composition. So it's not going to be so much about like how perfect this one is going to look. As you do this more, you're going to get more confident in your skills, and you can spend a little bit more time on perfecting it the way that you want to. All right, so I'm feeling pretty good about this. This one's a little bit weird because I think I was explaining the directions to you, so it kind of dried faster than I would like it to, but I'm not bothered by it. Okay, so we have our 4 rectangles prepped to learn more about composition. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to be talking about is mixing your complementary colors together. And again, complementary colors just means that they're opposite on the color wheel. Orange and blue make a really nice brown, and we have a dark brown here, and it does fade out into the distance as it gets closer to the horizon line. Now, as you notice here, this horizon line is directly in the center of our composition. This is sort of a no-no with professional painters, but I do think it's good to start here and to note it. This way, when we start to change where our horizon line is, then you're gonna see that difference. Next, we are just using triangles for our subjects because we are not worried so much about exactly the subject that we're painting. We're more worried about creating depth and distance. And I wanted to show you that a bigger triangle closer to the bottom is going to appear larger. And then as you get closer to the horizon line and as you start to make your triangles smaller, it will appear to be going off into the distance. And this is quite literally a 1-point perspective. If you're not aware of what 1-point perspective is or 2-point perspective, I would highly recommend doing a search on that. And I do plan on having a class on 1 and 2-point perspective as well. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of do the same thing that we just did with the sky, but we're going to do it with the orange and brown mixture of paint. So let me show you what that looks like. Here's my tray, and we have the blue and the orange. Now, it really is up to you how heavy you want your mixture to be. I typically like to put the color that is going to be dominant down first, so I want it to be more orange. And I am using my big paintbrush. Probably should not have done that, but I'm just going to rinse it off, grab just a little bit of blue on the tip of my paintbrush like this. And because blue is a lot darker too, we don't need very much. I'm just gonna tap it up here in my blue tray. And then I'm just going to mix it in. And then if I need to add more blue, which it looks like I do, then I can just kind of use the side of the tray to grab some. And I'm kind of liking this color. I'm not quite sure if I wanna use this big of a paintbrush though. I'm going to step it down to the next flat brush, and this is a number 4 flat brush. And I'm just going to, again, wet the paper just slightly. Now keep in mind that every time you wet your paper, you are kind of like making it less sturdy. If you push too hard with your paintbrush and it's super wet, you're going to eventually start pulling paper up, and we don't want that to happen. All right, now I'm going to take this mixture and place it down at the bottom, and it is right away while it's still wet. I'm just gonna clean my brush and just try to bring it up to about the center point. And you can try to make it a straight line if you want. If you want it a little bit hilly, you can do that as well. And that is essentially how we're going to be doing our ground for this. And if you want to make it a little bit darker after this dries, you can. But you do not need to. And I think it actually looks pretty nice right now. The sky, I was worried about it not being so perfectly even, but now it just looks like there's clouds in the sky, and it does look very nice. You will start to see that as it starts to dry though, because it's acting more like a watercolor paint, it's going to create like edges. And right here, I know that it's probably going to do that because it's very wet and it's starting to pool in this little section right here. It's something to note. If you want to dry your paintbrush and pull some of that out, you can, but remember, you're also going to be pulling some of that paint up. So I'm just going to take a little bit more paint and apply it in that area here. And then wash my brush, try to dry it as much as I can, and blend it a little bit more with a dryer brush here. but I'm not too worried about that. But I do like to get up any hard edges while it's still wet because it will dry and create like a little line around it. So I would mainly just clean it up, and then if you want to apply more color later, you can. But I'm actually happy with this. I think it's going to be just fine. So the next thing I'm going to do is show you my tray again. I have this really dark color orange, a medium color, and then I think what I'm going to do is do one last color, just strictly orange with no blue added, and that can be our triangle closest to the horizon line. So you can do this exactly how you want to, but the smallest triangle, or the one that is going off into the distance, should be very close to the horizon line, meaning that the bottom is higher than the other two and lower, not necessarily, but for this one, we're gonna try to keep it lower than these two as well. So let me show you what that looks like. And I'm just gonna start with my lightest color first, only because my paper is still pretty wet here at the bottom. And I don't want it to bleed so much. So why don't we just, at the right side here, we're just gonna use a flat brush and just put a little bit of a triangle in and use that hard edge of your brush to kind of put it in. And I'm happy with that. We're just gonna leave it. Wash your brush, and we're gonna go directly to the second one. And I'm gonna use this medium color that we've created for here. And why don't we start by going a step down here and creating our next line. Whoops. And make a triangle like that. Fill it in. Doesn't have to be perfect. And this is kind of giving us a reminder in the future, if you're going to be using this as a cheat sheet, about depth, focal point, blurriness. And I'm going to use my dry paintbrush and kind of clean up this bottom area here. Okay, and our last one, we have this dark color, but I'm going to add a little bit more blue to it to make it especially bluish brown. Because remember, darker, more textured things appear to pull forward, and lighter things and blurrier things appear to go off into the distance. So I'm going to go a step further down here and just do the best I can to kind of create one more triangle. Okay, so while we're doing this, I want to mention something, and that is overlapping. At the very moment in time, none of these objects are overlapping. Overlapping is so helpful to create separation and depth and distance between your subjects. And we're not doing it specifically with this one, but we will be more with the following studies that we do. Okay, so now while we're here, I just wanted to do like something a little bit that might seem a little bit silly. And that is, we're just gonna add some dots to this first one. And the reason why is you may be using these sheets as a cheat sheet later on. And I think it really is important to remember and to remind yourself that texture is going to be something that you see closer into the distance. And even patterns. So why don't we just add a few dots to this? And this will help remind us later on that texture, patterns, and things with a lot of detail are going to be closer. And because this is still wet, it's going to blend a little bit. It's just going to look like a polka dot triangle, but it's just going to help us remember what we were learning. All right, so that is the first one. It's pretty straightforward. And so why don't we move on to the second one?